Did you? Okay. I don't have my cell phone. Thank you.
No, I don't think so. Okay, he read it.
Yes, a lot of times I don't. This thing right here.
Good afternoon and welcome to the April 20th, 2022 regular meeting of the Gates County Board of Commissioners. I'm Dr. Althea Riddick, the 2022 Chair of the Board, and I'm joined this afternoon by Commissioner Linda Hoffler, Vice Chair, Commissioner Jack Owens, Commissioner Ray Freeman, Commissioner Jonathan Craddock, County Manager Tim Wilson, County Attorney Philip Pitt Godwin, and Clerk to the Board, Jolitha Chestnut. Now I will ask Commissioner Freeman to lead us in a word of prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. All stand, please. Bow your heads. Our Father God, thank Thee for this day that You have provided for us. Yeshua Yahweh. We live in the name of God. We live in the name of love that God has given us. Bless this county. Bless the decisions we make as the commissioners for this county and as the citizens give us the authority to make. Our Father God, bless this country, and God bless this nation. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I request a motion to approve agenda or as presented or any agenda adjustments.
Madam Chair, I would like to make two additions to the agenda.
Number one,
A resolution honoring Kathleen Wiggins on her 100th birthday, and also a resolution in support of the Northeastern Workforce Development Consortium.
do I have a motion to accept those amendments?
So moved. Second.
A motion and second that we accept those two amendments. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any other amendments?
And Madam Chair, we refer to those as I and J.
Let's see.
New business, I think.
Miss Kathleen Wiggins' 100th birthday would go under new business, H. And Northeastern would be I, H, yeah, HI. Northeastern. The other adjustment or amendment we need to make is to add another presentation by guest Kathy Davidson, CFO of Roanoke Connect. I make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
That would go under presentations.
So that would be C.
Yes, ma'am. C, on the presentation, Roanoke Connect, Kathy Davidson, CFO, Roanoke Electric Corporation, and she is in attendance. Any other adjustments or amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll go down to item number 2, consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
It's been properly seconded and approved to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Madam Clerk, do we have public comments?
Yes, ma'am. First is Mr. Patrick Martin, subject public safety.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing? I come before you tonight for several reasons. One of which I like to recognize the fact that last week, I believe, was Telecommunicators Week, which is our dispatchers. They are essentially the first responder in that whole term, first responder. They get the calls, they handle the people that are on the phone, try and calm them down and get us to where we're going. With that being said, not too long ago, Mr. Sample was here talking about how we had 3 dispatchers in training. They're excited for them to come on so we can beef up the staff there. And apparently those 3 have quit relatively quick after getting hired and put in the dispatch center. And they all had a common reason. And one of which I know the person that actually asked him how he was doing and how was his work going. He told me why. And he made sure that the human resource person knew why. And it had to do with supervision. Not Mr. Sample, but it had to do supervision within the dispatch center. And that's something I think that we need to address so that we don't have another dispatch center moved back over to Women's County. It's just not fair that they have to work under those conditions. And it's worth the people finding out why and try and correct that problem. The other thing I have is several times things have been mentioned for the last several months about hydrants, water supply, changing of the meeting time. One young lady from yours said something about public comments after the regular meeting, and nothing's been mentioned about it again, about what are we doing about the hydrants, what are we doing about the water system, what are we doing about anybody going to change the meeting time to 6:30 so more people can come, or are we going to add public comments at the end of the meeting like there used to be? I was not here for all that. The last thing I have is I sent an email to all of you in reference to a ladder truck. The county used to have a ladder truck. It used to be in Gatesville. When the one I sent y'all came up that they might get rid of, sell it, I went to our department in Gatesville and said, hey, look, here's an opportunity. It comes equipped, all that stuff. Well, the truck got sold before we even moved on it, and they brought up a good point. The expense of a ladder truck and the maintenance thereafter is too much for any one of these departments to handle. Gatesville did it. They tried it. It was too expensive. The problem was they bought an old truck. It had been worn out. It took a lot of people to set it up. And it was used all over the county. When it left, it left a void. There's a safety issue for us when we go out there that, having an elevated stream over top of residents, you can get to the fire without having to send people in to put it out. And we all know since the beginning of the year, even before that, fires in general have increased tragically, I have to say. There's been several already this month. And that particular piece of apparatus would be very helpful in helping us do our job. I've talked to several of the other departments. Pretty much all have the same idea, is that, if the county could buy the ladder and maintain it, it would say Gates County, Ladder 1, whatever, and it would go whoever can store it. The thought was, we did have it in Gatesville, but we're kind of tight with space. Sunbury is the next logical choice because they got a bigger station, and they have people that are working on a ladder truck in Norfolk. Like I say, if it comes down to it and years later we decide that because all the calls in another part of the county and we need to move it, it can certainly be done. But we didn't want to have it say any particular department would belong to. It's not a Sunbury ladder, it's not a Gatesville ladder, it's a Gates County ladder. It's a county source, not a particular whatever. So with that being said, like I said, that truck's gone, but I just wanted to give you all some food for thought, and it'd help us greatly safety wise. We've got all these huge buildings here in downtown. We've got 5 schools, 2 nursing homes, 2 lumber mills. The potential is there. And the time to find out about it is not after it's already happened. And you can see, you got a Walmart warehouse in another state that burned up. Suffolk just had a dust explosion today that took out a commercial building. They used 3 ladders on that. We don't have one. There's not even one nearby unless we call Suffolk. So I put that for y'all to chew on, and maybe somebody can come up and meet with the chiefs and say, hey, look, we like the idea, and move forward with it. I know Erna Bright has his hands on 4 of them that he can get a hold of right now in the same range that we had before. So just something to think about. It's something that needs, and it'll help us greatly. That's all.
Thank you, sir. You have anyone else?
Yes, Reverend Robert Jordan, Citizens Concerns.
Okay. And Reverend Jordan, if you look to your, if you see that five minutes up there, that's the timer right there.
Yes, ma'am.
We know how preachers are.
It's no offering plate in here. I like to pass that. How about that? Good evening, County Commissioners, County Manager, and fellow citizens. First, I would like to commend this board for your tough decision-making during the last 2 years of this dreaded COVID season. We thank you for considering the needs of the county and putting us in a position to better serve our citizens, and for that, we are thankful. I come representing the Middle Ground Union of the Roanoke Missionary Baptist Association, which is comprised of 33 missionary Baptist churches in 3 counties, which I am the moderator. Here in Gates County, we have 8 missionary Baptist churches, and I come to relay some of our concerns to the county. In our school system, we have about 1,400 students or more, according to our school board members. And with those 1,400 students, we only have 4 black male school teachers. And that is a serious concern for my constituents and should be a great concern for our county. I understand that it's a school board issue, and I've addressed it with them, but we are aware as well that the county supplied the school system with county funds. In our sheriff department, we have 15 full-time department personnel, 2 part-time personnel, and out of those 17, we have only 2 black officers. I work in the school system, and the other black officer only worked 168 hours a month, which means that our black community, which is made up of 31% of the county, will only see that officer about 14 times a month. This has been addressed with our sheriff, and he sees the need to employ other black officers and has assured me that that is one of his priorities, but my constituents see this a major injustice and thought that this should be brought to the board's attention. I understand that the commissioners do not supervise the sheriff department. However, the commissioners are the governing body of the county and should be concerned about the disparity in the county. I would like to see the commissioners assist the sheriff and the school board with resources to resolve this urgent matter. Also in our county, we have about 836 veterans, according to the 2016-2020 stats. 836 veterans. I would like to know, are there any programs or resources for our veterans? Are there any resources to help our veterans who have PTSD or other mental health illnesses? I commend you on fighting for a senior citizen, for a senior center, but our veterans are a part of our community that is mostly forgotten, which I am a Marine Corps veteran who fought for my country, that we may have the liberties we have today. I also served in the Army National Guard and remember serving Gates County during Hurricane Floyd. Just as we haven't forgotten about you, don't forget about us. I thank each of you for hearing my concerns and pray that the decisions made in the future will positively reflect our population and community. God bless you, this country, and this state.
Okay.
Next and last is Willie Smith, DSS Director, subject upcoming event.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not going to hold up a lot of your time. I just want to put the bug in your ear because I'm going to come back to you probably at our next meeting and let you know a little bit more about this. So originally, we were going to be having an event on May 17th with all of the managed care providers for health insurance to coming to the county to provide some additional information as it relates to the options that are available to our community members as it relates to Medicaid insurance. Unfortunately, that's going to be the election day, so and our office is going to be busy on that day. So we're looking for a end of May, possibly the start of June for this date for all of the vendors, representatives who provide the health insurance to come by, our office And they plan on providing seminars, presentations on each insurance plan, as well as having tables set up. So we're not sure what the turnout is going to be. However, I'm big on bringing the well to our people and making sure they at least know, hey, that is a well that they can drink from. So if you can just keep this in mind, this event is going to be happening. We just had a meeting today, and we're just setting up the location either at our DSS office or at the community center. But I just want to let you all know, and obviously there are going to be members who watch this video as well, so they can be aware, and they're going to be putting this information out on Facebook as well as everywhere we can. So the more people that know, the better. Other than that, I hope you all have a good day, and I told you I wasn't going to take up a lot of your time. Looks like I spent less than a minute and a half. That's awesome.
Okay, well, thank you for all the presenters. Is that the last one? Okay, before we segue into presentations by guests, we need to take a 5-minute recess for our IT coordinator, Warren Curry, can set up the technology for the presentation. So let's take a 5-minute recess.
In that position. It was all right.
Trips, and see, we give them money from the Brooklyn Club if they have to go to the doctor. Rob gave a good presentation. Thought Rob gave a good presentation.
First copy right there. All of these presentations. Should be.
Meeting's back in session. Our first presenter will be Trillium Annual Report from Blaine Baker. We approach the podium. I did. That's right.
Let me know if you need any help.
I hear you,
I will.
I hear you. Madam Chair, thanks for letting me be here for just a short time to kind of tell you a little bit about what's been going on at Trillium. Thanks for the board. I want to thank Commissioner Freeman for his service on my advisory board, as well as Donna Powell, who is your other appointee from Social Services, actually, who's on my board as well. They do a great job representing Gates County, so thank you very much. So, okay, so since I was here last year, we've added 2 more counties. It seems like a lot. So we now have 28 counties. Halifax joined us in December 1st, and Bladen County joined us in February. So last year we served roughly 58,000 people across our catchment area. We spent roughly $476 million in services. So in terms of our budget, 90% of our budget goes to services for the community, 10% is for admin costs. But anyway, so just moving on, and I was really glad to hear Mr. Smith say that he had invited the standard plans to come to Gates County and talk about their services, because we lost about 75% of our population to the standard plans. Of course, that in July. So the standard plans are managing the behavioral health, the very mild behavioral health symptoms of the individuals in our community who have Medicaid. And the thing that's different about that is that they took, well, because we're managing the symptoms of the more severe. Mm-hmm. So, and they did, and I'm just not even paying any attention. Can you just go forward a little bit more? I'm sorry, I'm trying to be so quick. Can you click again? Click again. Click again. Click again. Oh, no, right there, right there. So these are the insurance companies that he's talking about that were awarded last year, the 5 standard plans insurance companies that were awarded the contract to provide the behavioral health services to the mild and moderate recipients, and there are AmeriHealth, Blue Cross, United, WellCare, and Carolina Complete Health. Next slide. So we've been inviting the standard plans because we want them to learn that they need to develop those relationships in local communities like we have tried to do. Because some of them have had to establish North Carolina offices. They've been statewide, so they may not even, and then out of state, may not even had offices in North Carolina. So we've been trying to include them, and they've been pretty receptive to that. So I'm really glad that you're doing that for our citizens. So in terms of the tailored plan, which is what Trillium and the other 5 MCOs across the state were allowed to submit bids for, we all got awarded the tailored plan. And what that is that means that we're going to be managing the behavioral health services of the people who have the most severe problems. And it also means that we're also going to be managing their physical health for the very first time. It also means we're going to be managing their pharmacy benefits. And it also means that we're going to be addressing the whole person, which is really the way it should have been to begin with, that You know, you got one insurance company that's managing everything about that individual, whether it's a flu shot, whether it's medication for the psychiatrist, or no matter what it is, that they can, and then they can get their medicine. So one insurance company will be doing that. So we've been working really hard to be sure we have everything in place. We've got a readiness review scheduled for July 13th and 14th, and we'll go live December 1 of this year. So, and I hope that we'll be ready. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so in terms of our organization, we've had to make a lot of changes. We added a director of government relations. There's so much going on in the state legislature going on that affects Trillium and affects our consumers at the local level. So we've hired someone, a lobbyist, who knows what they're doing and has had a lot of experience in Raleigh, that knows a lot of our legislators to kind of keep us more informed and can help support the commissioners as well if that's something that you all might need some help with. So we actually, I guess the biggest change for us has been that our CEO did retire this year in February, and Joy Futrell, who you all may or may not know, is a resident of Hereford County and has been with Trillium and before Trillium for almost 30 years, and she has actually moved up to the CEO position, and I feel like she'll do a good job for us. So, next slide. So some other things that we've had to do based on the tailored plan, we got to add some more call lines since we don't have enough. Got to have a nursing line, got to have a provider line, and we've got to have a pharmacy line, and then we have to maintain our current call center line for all the crisis services that people call in that we operate 24/7, 365. So each one of these call lines will be dedicated to questions about medications or anything about their illness that they can ask the nurse, or any provider that has a question about their bill, or are they going to get paid, or all this kind of questions. They'll be addressed in all of those separate lines. So we are in the process of developing those. I think the greatest thing about the tailored plan is that our whole care management system is going to change. So everybody that is going to be a member of the tailored plan will have a care manager, every single person. Now it's just kind of spotty. It's based on a contract with the state, and if you meet the criteria, you can get a care manager for a period of time. But under the tailored plan, they will all have one, which would mean they will manage the whole person. They'll be sure they get their flu shot, that they get to their appointments, and they just address all those things. So that's the greatest thing. Next slide. So just some of our project updates. We continue to purchase naloxone kits when we can get them, when we can get our money straight, and we do share them with the counties. Sometimes sheriff's departments get them, sometimes EMS gets them. So we've tried to share those with Gates County. I think we have done that. I'll talk about the mobile clinics in a minute. So one of the other things we were working on is hiring some what we call family navigators. The mental health system is not a very easy system to maneuver. It's kind of difficult at best. So family navigators are people that know our system because they've been in it, so they can help individuals who can't figure out exactly how to maneuver. They can help them, support them, and be able to access services that they need and figure out how to navigate our system. Next slide. Okay, so let me just give you an update about the mobile clinics. I really appreciate those of you who came and supported Trillium and supported Monarch, who is the provider that's going to manage those. And some of you spoke, and I appreciate that very much. And so I'll just give you a little update. They are still in the process of hiring their staff. Across the board, I think all providers and all businesses are having trouble. Nurses are particularly hard to get, and we have to have nurses on these mobile clinics. And sometimes clinicians. Nurse practitioners are not nearly as hard to get as a nurse, for some reason. And not only on Gates County's clinic, but in some other clinics in our catchment area, they are all struggling. So they're working, they have hired a couple, but they need some more. So nothing has been decided about where those clinics will be in Gates County at this point. So you be thinking about that, because I'm sure they will be getting your input about where you think they could be the most good, because the whole point of those clinics is to be in very rural areas where maybe harder for people to get to a provider across town or in another county. So y'all keep that in mind, and I'm sure when we get closer to that point, they will be contacting you directly about any kind of input that you may have about that. So for Gates County specifically, we served 253 people last year, and 205 of those had mental health issues. 24 of those individuals had substance use issues, and 64 of those individuals had intellectual and developmental disabilities. One of the other things that I wanted to give you an update on, because we always are trying to recruit providers for Gates County. There is a clinician that has opened an office. It's Rehoboth Counseling Services. She had an office in Ahoskie, and she's actually expanded. And she's opened an office in Gates County, which will bring another resource to Gates County. The other thing I wanted to mention was school-based therapy. We had awarded a contract for a provider to go into Gates County schools, and they had trouble hiring a clinician. They got the clinician, and then COVID hit, so everybody went home. So trying to maintain them, but I think, as I understand it, in the last couple of months, they're seeing about 30 kids on the school campus so far. So that's a good thing. And that helps with transportation with parents and those kinds of things. So that helps quite a bit. I think that's it. You didn't give me the evil eye this time.
I did not give you the evil eye this time. No.
Do y'all have any questions for me that I might can answer?
Commissioners have any questions or comments?
I just wanted to say that Commissioner Freeman keeps us informed.
Correct.
When he comes back from your meetings, he never fails. He comes in with what he gleaned from those meetings, fills us in, and keeps us up to date on things like COVID and Trillium.
Well, that's the whole point of this two-tiered board structure, because we got so big that you kind of lose the counties, because we 28 counties, you're bound to lose some folks. So the commissioners are the ones who appoint to our board, and then our board appoints to the governing board. So really, the commissioner boards are appointing any board at Trillium, and they are also appointing the governing board that actually runs Trillium. So, and he's doing the right thing. He's coming back and letting you know what's going on with Trillium, whether it's good or bad, or what we need to fix, or where we're doing good things, or where we need to work on things. So I appreciate that.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
A couple of comments is, number one, the crisis intervention that's been provided is just invaluable. I know I brought it in some of our meetings, as well as I do bring it up to Mr. Baker every opportunity I have. But that is really outstanding. And just to give an example, last week, we, as in law enforcement, had another OD, and because of that Narcan that you provide, 2 hits of that brought him back, and he was gone. He's absolutely gone. So just, you don't know where it's going to happen. We have enough problem as it is with that, and you do across all the counties. So bring that.
Any other comments or questions for our friend from Trillium?
Before I run out of here.
No, I know you're gonna run. I know you're gonna run out of here. I know you are. But thank you for your
Yes, ma'am.
presentation. You'll be hearing from us.
Thank you very much.
Our next presenter is the Albemarle Region United Way, Mr. Bill Blake, Director, and Kelly Holtzel, Care Manager.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Chairperson Dr. Riddick, County Commissioners, County Manager Wilson, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, thank you for this privilege and this opportunity to come before you this evening. It's a great day to be in Gates County. Every day is a great day to be in Gates County, isn't it?
Amen.
My name is Bill Blake, as Dr. Riddick said. I'm the Executive Director for the Albemarle Area United Way. The United Way serves 9 counties across Northeast North Carolina. Actually, we celebrate 65 years this year. I've been at the helm for the last 4, and about 2.5 years ago, during my tenure, we launched a collective impact program to provide some direct assistance to leverage the network of certified partner agencies that we have and agencies working in our municipalities, such as the DSS departments, et cetera, to provide assistance to citizens that we call the Community Care Collaborative. So October 2019, we launched that program in Pasquotank and Camden County. About a year later, we expanded it into Perquimans, and now we've officially launched in Gates County. We had planned for July 1st, but thanks to Mr. Smith and some other community leaders, we've actually launched the program a little bit sooner. With me this evening is Kelly Holtzel, who is doing that work on the front lines along with our wonderful advisory committee and teams of volunteers to do that. And so I've asked Kelly if she would share a little bit of an overview of what we lovingly call the CCC with you all this evening.
Thank you again for having us. Again, my name is Kelly Hotzel, and I'm the program manager over at the CCC. You can go to the next slide for me, thank you. Just to give you a brief overview, I don't want to take a lot of your time. We are a one-time crisis assistance program. We started off in Pasquotank and Camden counties. We've grown to Perquimans, and now we are officially serving the residents of Gates County as of April 1st. A lot of what we deal with is past due rent and utilities. A lot of our families in the area, their crisis is related to rental or utility assistance. We also assist with rental deposits, utility deposits, and many, many, many other services. The whole idea of our program is that when a family faces a crisis and they don't have anywhere else to turn and they fall through the gaps of what DSS can provide or what Trillium, who are wonderful partners as well, can provide, we're there to help partner and catch some of those individuals. The way to qualify for assistance through our program, be a resident, is first of all, and have a verifiable, stable income. We're really, really big on sustainability. That is the whole idea, that we want to be a one-time assist who helps continue on the path to sustainability. So whether that is disability income, social security income, or employment, there has to be income coming in to assist so that we are making sure our residents are staying on that path. We, however, are not constrained by so many of federal requirements like LMI, low moderate income, like social services. They have to stay within those requirements or they do not get their federal dollars. We are not constrained by that. So that means if a family makes $80,000 a year, $70,000 a year, but gets hit with COVID and loses out on work hours, the kids get sick, they can't make rent, we're still able to step in and assist even if they don't fit in that low income threshold. We do require everyone to be in a crisis for us to assist. So that means someone who is past due, facing eviction or disconnection, and we do require paperwork. A lot of what we do is vetting, working with our residents and our clients to make sure that they have a lease in place that protects them, that protects us, making sure that they are in that crisis place, and making sure that they have reached out to all of the other resources that they can, again, demonstrating that trajectory towards sustainability. We do a lot of assistance outside of writing a check. A lot of the assistance that we do is navigation and advocacy. Bill touched on, we have a really great core of volunteers who are retired social workers, who are retired school teachers, who work directly with clients to ask, have you spoken to your landlord about this issue and seen if they will work with you? Have you tried to set up a payment plan? We work a lot with trying to make sure that clients are advocating for themselves and being fully served by all of our resources, including Trillium, who are so wonderful and fantastic community partners, social services, NC Works, and Salvation Army, Catholic Charities, so many others, to try and make sure that we're touching on that collaborative piece where we are all making sure our residents are completely taken care of. So we try to be a last resort as much as possible for our citizens. So our funding, we are mostly funded through local churches. The whole idea of the CCC was many churches didn't know how to help. They would get calls or knocks on the door from residents who needed assistance. They didn't know who to call, where to turn, besides giving whatever cash they had in their pocket. This kind of takes the church out of that place where they have to handle case management and being a social worker when many people are not social workers. We also get some EFSP funds, which are the Federal Food and Shelter funds that we use for utility and rental assistance, some municipal grants, some foundation grants, specifically through City of Elizabeth City. And United Way covers all of the overhead for CCC. So all of the dollars that go into our community care program, they only pay my salary and direct assistance to individuals. There's nothing else that comes out of that money. So the lights, the phones, everything else is covered by United Way. So we are affiliated and under the United Way umbrella, but we're our own separate program that operates and does direct impact in a really special way. I think that is the last slide. So that is a really broad general overview of the community care program. Again, we have started our assistance in Gates County, and it's been really wonderful seeing that grow, especially with Willie Smith, who has done leaps and bounds to make sure that we could assist residents as much as possible. So do you have any questions or comments about our program?
Questions or comments?
I'd like to make a comment, throwing out stars tonight, but Kelly is correct. I'm on the DSS board, Willie Smith's board, and Kelly came and spoke to us and gave us a real fast briefing on it too.
Talk fast, I'm sorry.
But kudos to Willie for bringing them in. This is a very worthy partnership, relationship that can help some of our citizens that just find themselves in some urgent crisis situation. And so I'm glad that the relationship is here, and just hope that it gets stronger. And Willie, thank you again for introducing us. He has introduced them to our DSS board and now to this board.
I have a question. If a church would like to donate, who do they send it to?
So the checks are made out to United Way, and it is designated Community Care Collaborative. We do, however, have separate bank accounts that hold those funds separately from whatever is in the United Way pot that goes out to community allocations. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Comments? Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a comment or two as well, kind of piggyback on what Commissioner Hoffler was saying, you know, with our churches and having been involved in the past with handling funds to individuals, that is most difficult. And I was so glad to hear that part, that's a collaborative that you can provide to get the church out of it, to get our pastor out of it, to get us, some of the service deacons out of that, because it is so very important they get it. And also, finding more out about this program should and will keep our evictions down. So that would certainly free up our magistrates, our courts some, and our sheriff's office some for evictions. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Craddock, like you want to say something?
Will do. Thank you.
Okay. You had that look on your face. Well, I want to thank y'all for the presentation, and my question is, what can we do further as a Board of Commissioners in Gates County to support you?
Well, certainly advocacy, because that's a big part of what we talk about that we do, is sometimes contacting those landlords and getting them to waive late fees, understanding that somebody had been sick and missing and things of that sort. So advocacy is probably first and foremost, right? Just to make folks aware that United Way and the CCC is a good program. We've got advisory members, volunteers from all the counties that we serve, and we're trying to do our part. You know, we're not the silver bullet, we don't solve it all, but so telling that story, being an advocate and telling that story. Obviously, when it does come down to sometimes where we've got to write that light bill check and pay that landlord, funds are necessary. We've been very blessed. Again, many churches have been funding us and supporting us, and they've been doing that on an ongoing basis. As they've seen the program work, they've increased their giving. Many municipalities give us funding as well, and so we certainly would be very, very appreciative if Gates County found it in their budget to send some funds our way for this effort. Knowing that's going to serve your citizens, and that, again, everything is vetted, checks are always double-signed. We don't give money directly to a client ever, and we've up to, 1,200 clients now that we've assisted. So those would be the things that would be most appreciated if you could find a way to do those two.
I think we can find a way to do the awareness and advocacy. One would be to place that PowerPoint on our website under United Way or the Community Care Collaborative.
Correct. Yeah, that's the name of the program, which is on our website. Our application is there, so feel free to share that. We're in the process of getting new cards printed since we've now officially added Gates County. So we're working with the printer right now to get new cards. So we'll make those available. Certainly they'll be at DSS. You have the current cards, but the ones with Gates County added will be produced soon. But absolutely, the link to our website, the application is there. And if anybody's interested in volunteering, we're always taking volunteers. Kelly does a great training program. Basically, we do a background check and do a little training for you.
Now I have a question.
Okay.
A citizen, outside of this board, a citizen makes a contribution to CCC.
Yes, sir.
They're a resident of Gates County. Are they assured that that money is going to be administered to a need in Gates County?
So it can be. So we have a mix right now with funders. We actually have some foundations who are specific to certain geographic areas. The EFSP funds are specific to certain, by county. Thankfully, a lot of the churches and individuals who give to us don't put that stipulation. And that's a good thing in my opinion, because sometimes there are counties that have greater need but don't necessarily have the resources. And I like us to be able to use those funds. But yes, if an individual citizen, they also would get it as a tax deduction. That's where the United Way is the 501c3 entity. So they get a letter, they get that as a tax deduction. But if they specifically wanted it to be used in Gates, we keep track of it that way so that it would be used in Gates.
Do you know if our roofing clubs are?
Not yet. They were at the meeting that we held at the community center. The response was so great, we couldn't hold it at DSS office, so we ended up having it at the community center, and Ruritan was there. Two of them, right? Two clubs were there.
Yeah, and we got some volunteer interest out of that as well.
Yeah.
As our
From the
residents
Ruritan
are
clubs.
always
Good.
very involved.
But a lot of the Rotarians and Ruritan clubs, Lions clubs donate, and we're so appreciative because it's that fishes and loaves mindset. I mean, every little bit helps, seems to be working. So we're excited to be able to expand these services to Gates County, and we provide that kind of holistic approach. When somebody comes and says they need help with the light bill, if there's food insecurities, we plug them in with our partner agencies with that, or with gift cards. If they have other needs, then we're able to treat them holistically. Great.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Our final presenter is from Roanoke Connect, Kathy Davidson, the Chief Financial Officer for Roanoke Electric Corporation.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing this evening? And I say after hearing about the CAC and United Way programs, it's appropriate that I'm here tonight to talk about partnership and collaboration, and also emphasize the Affordable Connectivity Program that Roanoke Connect Holdings, a subsidiary of Roanoke Electric, is proud to offer to all of the subscribers and future subscribers within our service territory, but also within the 5+1 or 6 county partnership that we've worked together to put together in those counties, and I named them in order of participation is Gates, Hertford, Bertie, Halifax, Northampton, and Martin counties. The reason I emphasize Gates is because Gates is the first one that has said, we are going to put an emphasis on the importance of broadband connectivity to not only to the county as an organization, but to our residents, to our businesses, to our schools, to economic development. Broadband, as we all know, and found out early 2020, is an essential service, an essential utility to everyone. And we really noticed that when everything closed. Our children had to learn from home, and we were seeing them sitting in the parking lots of the school systems, sitting at our substations where we put hotspots. But I really want to emphasize the partnership for broadband service. Traditionally and historically, when Roanoke Electric first started deploying broadband, it was only within our service territory. Looking at the need, responding to the need, we have done feasibility studies and looked at expanding outside of our service territory, not just to our member owners, but also to all of those within Gates County. And looking at those residents, those households, those organizations, we have identified that through the next two great grant applications, we will provide a total of 612 opportunities, passing 555 residential residents, 33 agricultural operations, and 24 businesses, commercial, or school and government facilities, for a total of 612 passings. And the importance of that is when we look at the partnership with Gates County and the Albemarle Commission and the NC Rural Center, North Carolina Rural Center, putting together a successful application that is competitive. And by doing so, as we know, we're very rural, and to provide a utility service, it costs more because we don't have the density. And with the conversations that we've had, the presentations, I want to thank you publicly for supporting this project, because with your support, our application is very competitive for approval from the State Broadband Office. We're not guaranteeing anything, but when we run our analysis, based on previous grant applications submitted, the 6 additional points, by having the $500,000 match, it's two $250,000 matches of non-general fund taxpayer revenue. So it's the American Rescue Plan funds that our applications will score 21 and 23 points. And that makes the applications competitive. The last round, the lowest application to receive funding had 15 points. And I congratulate you, and I thank you so much for your support, for what you're doing for your residents, for your businesses, for your schools, and also for your government and for your economic development. Again, I want to emphasize that with the program that Roanoke Connect offers, we do offer the American Connect or Affordable Connectivity Program, and based on the poverty level within Gates County, 662 households are already eligible for that program. And what that means is that those households, for $30 a month, will receive 100 megabyte service up upload and download speed. And there's a reimbursement that will come to Roanoke Connect for that $30. So in essence, all of those that are receiving federal assistance or free and reduced lunch, those households that are eligible for assistance now are eligible for free internet. And that is one of the paramount requirements of the GREAT grant, the North Carolina GREAT grant application. So I want to close saying, again, thank you for your support on the 2 applications that will total broadband service of $8.7 million for Gates County. And what does that mean? That means you get high-speed fiber to the premise or fiber to the home, to the business, to the agriculture, to the government facilities. It's not a fixed wireless, it's not satellite, but it's the future proof of broadband. And we're proud to be able to partner with Gates County in making Gates County a priority as we move through this grant process, just like you made your residents and businesses a priority. And I want to thank you for that this evening.
Talk a little bit about the collaboration. We had a special meeting on Monday, and we had 2 providers here presenting one at a time in closed session. And after discussion, after presentation, we made a decision to go with Roanoke Connect because of the strength of that proposed grant. To do that, we had to match funds
Yes.
for those great grants. There's 2 of them, $250,000 apiece, for a total of $500,000 of ARPA funds, those federal dollars that were sent to each one of the counties based on the size of the county. And one of the stipulations for that grant is that the match should come from ARPA funds and not the local funds. So we have not spent any local funds or matched any of the local funds from fund balance or anywhere else from the citizens of Gates County. And I wanted to clarify that because we have those ARPA funds. The funds were put there for each one of the counties to have to match if they wanted to apply for those great grants. So we have 2 of them. I want you to talk about, just briefly, about the timeline for providing those great grants if we are successful in the grant application. So I don't want anybody leaving here thinking we've already got it done. They're writing the grants. They are writing the grants. And we're going to submit the grant by May 4th
Correct.
with announcement probably sometime August.
Late July or early August is what we have seen in the past. Just to let you know, Roanoke Connect has applied for 6 great grants. We've received 5 out of the 6. One of them was challenged by a legacy carrier and rejected, but that's okay because we got the other 5. What's important is that our timeline is to have Gates County 100% covered with fiber to the premise by the end of 2025. I'll say that again. 100% of Gates County covered with fiber to the premise by the end of 2025.
And let me say this, there's a letter of intent that Roanoke Connect agreed to sign, stating those timelines,
Yes.
the matching funds, transparency, which is a word I lose. I don't like that word, but anyway, transparency. There will be a citizens group that we're going to put together. I've already talked to Commissioner Craddock about it, that will oversee the process. So we will have visibility of what's going on,
Absolutely.
probably maybe once a month, maybe quarterly. It depends on how fast you move. Now, I did ask on Monday with the other commissioners, okay, once you are awarded, when will the work start?
We anticipate once we're awarded, generally the contract from the state takes 2 to 3 months to sign. Historically, the day that the contract is signed is when the construction period starts. We have 2 years to construct, we're looking at, if the timeline holds and what the experience holds, is that construction will start late October, early November, no later than January of 2023. The reason why that's so important is we have 2 years to construct everything within the GREAT grant. You also have until December of 2026 to spend all of your funds. And what Roanoke Connect does is we pay for everything up front, all of the reimbursement costs. We submit that reimbursement cost to the state. We have to spend the matching part first. And then we will send an invoice. After everything is constructed, we'll send an invoice to the county to pay for the match. And the other side of that is we're required to provide monitoring updates on a quarterly basis to the state. We would love to share those with you and be back at a minimum on a quarterly basis. But we're also subject to review, oversight, and inspection by the state broadband office. We know sometimes when they come, other times they just show up. We don't even know it, and we get an email afterwards. Hey, we were in your system or service territory. We saw the fiber, we saw the construction going on, everything looks great. And that's how you want the accountability to be. You don't want to have to say, well, my construction crew, you need to make sure everything's perfect. You don't want that. You want to make sure that the construction that's taking place, that the service that is provided meets what is required. And we are required to offer a minimum of 100 symmetrical service, 100 up, 100 down. But what we are guaranteeing through our grant application is that we will offer, and the minimum speed is 1 gig, which right now is the fastest speed that you can get with a regular residential connection.
Are there any other comments from the commissioners?
One comment, certainly appreciate that presentation the other day, and that certainly caused a move within this board after hearing the presentations, not just yours, but the other. And being able to provide all of our households, all of our citizens with that connectivity. So appreciate the good presentation, and even all of us could understand.
Good.
And the speed at which you're guaranteeing is great.
Yes, absolutely. It is, because that's what you need to do business at home, to stream, to cut the cord. But I also want to add one other thing, that we are also working with the state's Division of Workforce Solutions, as well as the 3 workforce development boards that cover our current service territory, to create a certification program to employ residents that live here in Gates County. And that is so important for high income, high demand jobs. With even the state broadband program, it's $360 million. That's the first round. And there's been billions of dollars allocated on the federal level. So and I know you heard it from our COO, Bo Coughlin, that splicers, technicians are in demand, and we want to hire, we want trained local employees.
Any other comments or questions before?
Thank you for your presentation again. It was, like Mr. Freeman said, it was moving to us the other day. What comes to mind is 612 miles of fiber optic cable. So that's going to provide for every citizen in the county, E911, our fire departments, our sheriff's department.
Yes,
It's everybody.
everybody.
And it's going to allow us to update our water system, self-reading water meters. It's a start. It's infrastructure.
A new day.
It's a big step. It's a big step in technology for us. We're not on the back end, we're on the front end. We have the expertise of Roanoke Connect filling out our application for us, doing all the administrative stuff, and they're a good partner to begin with. And just, if you're not a Roanoke Electric customer, it doesn't matter. This is every citizen, every household in the county. So I thank you for making the decision, because I think Marshall said that was not the initial decision.
That is correct.
But you changed your path and decided to help every citizen, whether they were your customer or not. So that's commendable. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to add one other thing with that, so that everyone can hear, if I'm not mistaken, I'm kind of going by what I heard and maybe what I remembered. You have 3,000 some odd customers of Roanoke Chowan, or Roanoke connectivity in
That is
Gates
correct.
County. Is that right?
We have a little over 3,000 member owners in Gates County. And as we expand the broadband service here in the county, we anticipate a take rate of about 60% for those that have the opportunity to connect to our fiber.
Any other questions or
Very good.
comments before
Very good.
can you share your last meetings? You've been meeting this week with other counties.
Absolutely, and I'm sorry I did not mention that. Gates County was the first to approve the partnership, and that was Monday. Monday night, Hertford County approved the partnership, and then this morning, Bertie County approved the partnership. And what that means is that Gates County saw the need, and I know I'm emotional about it, but it's so important. And Gates County is left behind a lot of times because of how your residents commute to Hampton Roads. And that's not right.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation. All right.
Thank you.
Next, we have the administrative reports. Earlier today, we sat as the Board of, I always get it wrong,
Equalization review.
Equalization and Review, and Mr. Chris Hill is the tax assessor. He reports to the board, and he provided us an update with that process. He has, how can I put this? Anyway, Mr. Hill is not here to go over that report again, the tax report for us. It's in your packets, and we will put it, for you can access it in the board packet, but he had to leave. We decided as a board to release him and not stay to this, to later on, so he can get back to Elizabeth City to attend to some personal issues that he's having, family issues. Nothing very serious, but he wanted to, and we decided as the board to release him to go do that. So we have departmental reports or the finance report. Which one?
Kim
Finance.
is available if anyone has any questions.
Okay, Kim? I don't have anybody anyway.
Good evening. I don't have much to report on tonight. As you can see in your report, with the sales tax revenue, the January sales tax collection that was paid in April, that was the second lowest payment that we've received thus far this fiscal year. But the projections are still favorable that we will collect more than what we actually budgeted for. So even though it was the second lowest month, it did not hurt us. That was really all that I had to update the board on tonight.
Okay, any questions for Kim? You saw that packet. Thank you, Ms. Altman.
Thank you.
We're down to old business discussion by the board of the Human Resource Director position. The board thinks it is time for us to have a Human Resources Director position. Now, some people have been on this board longer than I have, just about except for Craddock. but I don't remember a human resources director position in this county. By policy or that we've read, the county manager, no matter who the county manager is, can serve as the director or serves as the director of human resources, or he can, of course, delegate other duties to someone else. We think, I don't want to feel, we think, and I hope we have a consensus or approval from this board, that it's time that Gates County has its standalone human resources director. That director, if approved, if we put into the budget for next year, will still report to the county manager. All directors, administrative leads, reports to the county manager. But it is time that Gates County has a human resource director so that that person can attend to the duties of a human resource director, can work with the staff that's hired by this county. And if anybody else has anything to say with this discussion before I ask for approval or disapproval of that position to be in next year's budget.
Madam Chair, I think Commissioner Freeman will recall, I think that's one of the main reasons that our personnel policy was put on the table and put off several times for this particular position. We didn't like the way it was addressed or the way it was worded. And it was pretty much, I think it might have been a consensus at the time. So it's an old concern, and there are dollars involved. It's a new position, it's a new person, there's going to be a new salary, but it's pretty much unheard of in 2022 not to have this person on staff.
I think Director of Human Resources is a vital part of day-to-day operations, not only making sure that the employees are treated fair, but make sure the organization is being looked after also. I will say this person needs to have the proper credentials for this job, and that's going to cost. But you get what you pay for, and I do believe this county needs one and has needed one for a very long time.
I agree with what the two commissioners down there has said. It has been a problem for at least the last two county. I mean, it's been a long time. I've been on the board. Jack's been on here the longest, but it's been a problem for years. And I think it's time that we bite the bullet and move on and find a human resources director.
Commissioner Freeman?
Here. I certainly agree that that's well needed, and I think we have been experiencing the pains by not having that, and the pains even as we hear tonight, or as we heard, like 911 center with 3 coming and going. So obviously it's not really going through a person properly trained in order to accept that employment for individuals.
And finally, I will say that I remember that consensus. I think it was the first year I was on the board that we tabled that personnel policy, because I think I was the one that questioned having the county manager, no matter who it is, this is not personal, but that position of a county manager tied up most of their time dealing with personnel. The county manager should be freed up to do, not only operate or run the county, because he or she governs this county. There's no question about the county administrator. That's the county manager. So that person, that position, whoever it is, needs to be released from the day-to-day constant personnel issues in any county, not just this county, or any situation. So that person can go about the business of meeting the goals and objectives that were set by the commissioner board. So that said, and having heard from everyone, I need a motion, or we need a motion to approve the HR position being in next year's budget.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second that the HR position be included in next year's budget. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So move, approved. So I see Kim Outland there, and I see the county manager sitting right next to me. That position, we expect to see that during the budget presentation. We know it's going to cost, but sometimes you have to do what needs to be done. So
It's going to cost not to do it.
it's going to cost more not to do it, and we'll make it happen. But I thank this board for realizing that it's time for Gates County to move forward with some of the positions we need. We have a lot of needs in the county, we know that, but we have to prioritize those needs because we don't have unlimited funding. And this is one of them. So we can have a county manager that's not tied up with personnel. We can have a county that has a standalone position with credentials. We're not going to give it to somebody like two heads, you're going to do this. No. We're going to try to find, we meaning the staff, the county manager and his staff, to advertise for a human resource director that is credentialed and hopefully has some experience in local government. All right. New business resolution for finance and radios. Find that. This is the resolution to finance radios and radio console equipment for Gates County Public Safety. Now, whereas Gates County will purchase radios and radio console equipment through Motorola for a total of $1,408,510.65. Gates County will finance $1,290,485.50 of the purchase of the radios and radio console equipment through Southern Bank at 2.37% with a maturity of date of March 2025. The remaining $118,025.15 will be paid as an eligible expense through 911 funding. The Gates County Board of Commissioners have developed a plan of intent to set aside the fiscal year 22 Medicaid hold harmless monies estimated to total $596,378.34 to go towards the payment. Whereas in an event of fiscal year 22, actual Medicaid hold harmless monies coming higher or lower than the estimated amount, it is the intent of the Gates County Board of Commissioners to set aside the actual amount in lieu of the estimated amount of $596,378.34. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Gates County that we do hereby authorize the financing of the radio and radio console equipment through Southern Bank at 2.37% with the maturity date of March 2025. Be it further resolved that Gates County will set aside fiscal year Medicaid hold harmless monies to be used towards the installment of payments duly adopted this 20th day of April 2022. Do I have a motion to approve this expenditure?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second for this resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
And on that note also, I know they were applying for, I believe, a $400,000 grant.
We weren't eligible for that.
Weren't eligible, and when the managers.
It wasn't a large pool of money of grant funds available, and it was available through all the counties. And we would have had to have spent $80,000 additional dollars because part of the grant requirement was the equipment had to have certain specifications.
Okay.
So we were looking at $400,000 was the maximum you could apply for. I think it was only $4 million was what was out there total, and we didn't apply for that. Just like, it wasn't a good gamble to spend an additional $80,000, and then if you didn't get it, you spent $80,000 for something you didn't need. So
What about?
Unfortunately, it didn't.
Yeah,
The
the
specs didn't
managers,
work out.
I think it was the managers grant, Ms. Senior was gonna apply for, taking the class. Do you know anything, if that went through?
Oh, I don't know.
You know.
I don't know.
Okay, good question. The second resolution, a COA resolution in support of the Nursing and Allied Health Simulation Facility at College of the Albemarle. You have that in your packet as well. Move this out the way. It was a letter sent to us by the president of COA, Dr. Bagwell. It was sent on March the 29th, 2022. And they're asking for the support of Gates County's Board of Commissioners for the attached resolution in support of nursing and allied health simulation. They are applying for funding for this new facility. I read it in part. For more than 60 years, College of Albemarle has served the counties of Camden, Chowan, Currituck, Dare, Gates, Paquemiss, and Pasquotank, and its citizens by opening the door to education and career training. And whereas College of the Albemarle annually contributes approximately $105.3 million to regional income, equivalent to 2.1% of the gross regional product, in supporting one of every 33 jobs, and whereas College of the Albemarle's nursing program was ranked as the #1 RN nursing program in North Carolina by registerednursing.org for the years 2021 and 2018, and College of the Albemarle was ranked as the #6 community college in the United States in 2020. Whereas College of Albemarle has been selected as one of the 150 community colleges in the nation to compete for the $1 million Aspen Prize, which is considered by America's community colleges to be the signature recognition of high achievement and performance. And whereas healthcare job growth is expected to increase 18.1% in the coming years, which is 3 times that of other job sectors. And whereas facilities to expand programs at College of the Albemarle is limited, and current facilities are woefully inadequate to provide the state-of-the-art training expected of a top-tier community college, and all counties served by College of the Albemarle benefit from the excellent training the college provides to future healthcare practitioners. An expansion of the nursing and allied health simulation facility at College of the Albemarle would enhance current training, expand opportunities for future programming, and incentivize healthcare graduates to remain in the area to serve our rural community. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Gates County unanimously supports College of the Albemarle in its efforts to secure public and grant funding for this resource on the 20th day of April 2022. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second that motion.
It's been motioned and properly seconded that we support this effort by College of the Albemarle. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next on the agenda is the ARPA projects discussion of the board. A few weeks ago, I sent a listing of proposed expenditure of about $2.2 million. It was just a list, and I asked the commissioners to either add to the list. It's not prioritized, but we had to have somewhere to start. And on the list were grant administrator, broadband, the AEDs for Gates County School System, and it includes the community center, county buildings, library, fire station, sheriff departments, et cetera, et cetera. That was sent in by the school system. Technology, we need technology upgrades in local government. We need to hire a design or master planner for the land purchase. We had the ladder truck also on this list. We heard from Mr. Martin that that particular truck is no longer available, but there might be other trucks coming soon. And then, of course, our county water, wastewater upgrades. So those are the ARPA projects we have thus far, and this is just to be very visible to the county. We listened to you, we took notes, we made this list. Are there other additions you want to put on the list at this time? Because we're going to come back around and prioritize this list. So are there anything you can think of from the commissioners, or have you heard, or?
The E911 facilities, I know we're gonna be working through the state to upgrade when we can, but there probably will be some supportive funds needed to do so.
Okay.
I think it's a good outline.
It's a starting point for us to take a look at it. We haven't cost anything out. That's going to be very important that we do the legwork to cost each one of these projects so that we'll know what we're looking at, so that we can prioritize. And there are opportunities, things on this list that there are other grants you can secure to fulfill this, especially water, wastewater. There's a lot of grants out there to fulfill that 40-year system that we hear so much about. And to your point, the hydrants and things like that. We haven't forgotten, we're just trying to get to it. So that's on the list. and all the other things. So if it's another project that comes to mind, just let us know, let one of your representatives know, and they can forward it down to me, and I can make the list and give it to the staff. But we have to cost this out, and we have to prioritize. We can't do everything, so we're going to do the best we can to meet the needs of the county by these federal funds that we're getting. And prayerfully, we're going to get more federal funds with the other bill that's hung up in Washington somewhere that they're trying to get to the state. So this is not an exhaustive list, but it's a starting list. Okay? So that's the discussion at this point. Bidding out for community center repair, discussion of the board.
It's just, for the county manager to get an RFP out there, right?
I think that we need to get an RFP out there. We got the appropriation that we requested from one of our legislators, Representative Howard Hunter, and his office is, just waiting to see what we're going to do. Well, the first thing we got to do is bid it out in phases. It's going to take time to completely renovate the community center. There's some issues, and we have a preliminary report. So I think that the county manager knows what, we toured it with the legislator, I want to always call him Reverend, Representative Howard Hunter. When he came, we did tour the community center, and he talked about it, and the county manager was saying some things, phase 1, phase 2, do this, do that. So that's in his purview. We're not, architects or engineers or things, but he has a background in that he knows what he needs to do or what needs to be done to that building in phases, because we don't have enough money right now to do everything. But the appropriation we requested was to start replacing that roof, not to patch it, but replace it. So we have to bid it out to see what the cost will be, and that's on the county manager. We're not going to speak for the county manager. If he wants to jump in and with his summary or recommendation, but we know we have to bid it out to find out what the cost is before we can do anything.
Yeah, and looking at the school system did have an architect come in and evaluate the building. And the building definitely does have water infiltration problems. The roof does need to be replaced in its entirety, but that's only half the problem. Mm-hmm. The other half is that water is coming in through the brickwork. And that is going all the way through the brick into the cinder block, and that's why if you go inside the building, you see the paint in the condition that it is, that the walls are saturated. So in order to make that building watertight, it requires both a roof replacement and corrective action to the siding. The architect has laid out two options. One is to try to do some remediation. Some of the brick work, when it was originally done, was not installed properly. One of the biggest issues, there were no weep holes that were installed, and that's why so much water has been trapped in there and caused the problems that it has. And it would be good to have the siding work and the roofing work coordinated, because the roofing also includes the metal cap that goes over the masonry work. It includes the guttering, it includes the downspout. If we do all that at one time, if we come back and then do the exterior of the building, all of that has to be removed, and then all that has to be replaced, which would add some additional cost. One thing, talking with the architect, was that this might be better as a project because everything has to be done first before any of the corrective work can start taking place inside. The walls have to be, the exterior has to be corrected, and everything has to be dried out for the stripping and the repainting of the interior of the building takes place. The two options were to try to do some repair to the brickwork, replace the windows, those are going to be needed regardless of the option, and try to treat the brick to try to keep water from infiltrating through the brick. The other option would be a re-siding of the building with a metal siding, which would be a more definitive or permanent fix. You would not have to worry 10, 15, 20 years. And this is a building that I think the county hopes to get at least another 30 years of life out of. And while the re-siding is more expensive of an option, depending on exactly what, what you decide to do, it is the more permanent fix. And that may range somewhere around, I think he had estimated somewhere maybe around $400-some thousand. But you're talking over the life of a building that has a long life. So one way to try to do this, he told me there's probably very few contractors that would do both. So we'd probably be dealing with two different contractors, and one way of bidding this out would be for a general contractor. Because if we don't hire a general contractor, I know what I'm going to be doing. We don't have a public works department or a public works director I can, give it to. So I know who's going to become the general contractor to try to coordinate the work between the two. So those are some options. The architect, when I talked to him with Hudson Associates, he said that he would be willing to come and meet with the board to, explain the results of his review, pros and cons of, one type of fixing of the wall or the other. And because that's ultimately a decision that the board's going to need to make. And also, do we approach it as doing the roof work and then doing the siding, or do you wish to approach it as a single project?
Preferably, I'd like to do it as a single project. Get it done. It's not going to get cheaper.
Yeah. Like Madam Chair said, we would probably look at probably needing to, as I said before, as with all localities, we have more needs than we have grant money.
That's right. I understand.
I understand. That's a common predicament.
My preference would be.
Yeah. And I agree. I think, that because we can't start doing the repair work to the interior until the wall work is done.
Who would, so if we're going to request RFPs, there has to be some specs for all of them to go by, because the numbers will be just all over the.
Yes, and that's where I would need to work with someone like the firm who did the original assessment of the building to come up with the specifications. But the board would still need to make the roof is going to be the roof. The specs on that are going to be what they are. But depending, it'll be dramatically different depending on which choice the board makes. Do you want to replace windows and try to do treatment of the existing brick, or do you want to expend additional funds to do a re-siding of that building that would be a more permanent fix? The other benefit of that is that you do end up, or you have the opportunity that you will have a newer looking building. It'll have a brand new appearance to it, which is not a bad thing, seeing how it's directly across from property where we're trying to attract new development. So having, something, so that's just another side benefit of going with, with the re-siding to make it look that it's an area of new growth as well.
Can we talk about a timeline for whatever we're going to do? I mean, when can you think we can address it as a decision in June?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was fairly, when I spoke with him before, I think he would be fairly flexible and, coming down to meet with you. It's one of those things, I think it'd take a little time, probably a lot of questions, if you wanted to have a special meeting on that, or, have it, sometime a little bit before your regular meeting began, as opposed to a different day, because there are a lot of different variables involved, so I can imagine, it'll take a little time to explain, and I'm sure that there'll be, plenty of questions to go along with it.
Yeah, I think it needs to be a cost analysis between
option A and option B.
He can help out, giving you some numbers with that.
Because, if you spend 200,000 now and it's only gonna last you 10 more years, you might as well spill 400 and last you 30.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of questions in there on that matter. So, yeah, I would say have him come out and give us a presentation, cost analysis.
Yeah, because back in that, we still had to go do the RPO, and
Well,
it's going to take a
hearing-
while.
Hearing what Tim said, that Mr. Hudson or somebody else recommended or suggested, I would say that we break it apart, maybe get it done, Commissioner Hoffler, at the same time like you're thinking. We might all be thinking that, but break it down so we can get RFPs on a roof and an RFP. And if the same person wants to quote both of them, that's fine, but we don't want to miss a good contractor, good roofing contractor, just because he doesn't want to do the walls. So I would break it apart and request 2 RFPs.
I actually asked I had that very discussion with Hudson Associates, that to put out a bid for both, it'd be a single bid, it would be for the roof work and whatever decision was decided on the exterior, and allow companies to either bid on the project in its entirety, or you could bid on the roof, or you could bid on the siding. And, because sometimes when you do things like that, you may find you end up with one who can do it less expensive, which is nice, because then you have one person that you're dealing with, or sometimes you get the better price from the roof and whoever's doing the siding work. He said with this type of roofing, the flat roof, the membrane roof, you don't see people who do that work, and they really don't get into other types of work. So that's why he said as an alternative to, what I was thinking of would be the general contractor. And then the general contractor, what he's going to try to do, so he's most competitive, is going to try to find the least expensive person. He's going to be doing that very same thing to try to come in with, the most competitive bid.
Well, let me refresh the board. On the courthouse across the street, have flat roof on it, and we had repairs after repairs after repairs, and leaks after leaks after leaks. And finally, we found somebody to take away, they covered the flat roof with a roof with an incline on it. And I think the figure was around $250,000, if I remember correctly, for the courthouse over there. But we got away from the flat roof, so I would like to keep that in the back of our mind.
I've seen that. I've seen it done.
Yeah, I don't,
And it looks good.
Yeah, people get tired of fixing that flat
Yeah.
roof.
Amen.
yeah, we need a angle on the roof. not
Yeah.
flat.
And I don't know if that's, because there's some pretty large expanses up there, so, but I've seen exactly what you're talking about, just to get away from that membrane type flat roof, because they just, over time, they just seem to end up having problems.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
I would like to, I'd like to recommend that we, this is April, that we have someone, hopefully, to come and give us the cost analysis like Commissioner Crabb was talking about, and as much information as that person wants to give. But if they could give us a cost analysis in the month of June of whether it be a regular meeting or a special meeting, whatever the county manager thinks the need is.
Okay.
I'd be in favor of June if the board agrees.
Yeah. I think Hudson, I'll contact,
Hudson?
Because, they've been through the building. They already know the building, the people who did the original
So we're
report.
not starting from scratch. That's good.
I believe that the school system actually did put out a bid one time just for the roofing portion, and I think that came back somewhere around, I think it was around between $310,000, $315,000. But I don't know exactly what they were talking about. One thing that was noted, it wasn't recommended, was just to put another membrane on top of there, because there's already two on there now. And he said what really needs to be done are both of those need to be stripped off to make sure that there's no problems, with the material underneath. Because he said if there are, that needs to be corrected. You don't want to put a new roof over bad areas. You want to, if you have to replace something, replace it. Or if it's a matter that it just needs to dry out thoroughly before you do something, give it the opportunity to do that.
Okay. So what is the motion? We got to clarify for the
I have
board
a
clerk.
recommendation. I'll
Okay.
call it a motion if you want me to. It's necessary.
No. The county manager made a recommendation. Your recommendation stated so that we can get this about Hudson.
Yes, to meet with Hudson Associates to review with this body the results of their finding and the two alternatives for corrective action for the walls, and to, at the same time, try to provide you with some realistic cost estimates on those options.
So we don't need a motion, do we? We
No,
can
we
just
don't.
direct him to do that?
That's a record.
Yeah.
Do you have that, Madam Clerk? Okay.
I'll tell him.
Okay, you tell him tomorrow. Okay, we have a recommendation, so we don't need a motion. Next is selecting a master planner for land development. Same discussion of the board.
I mean, to use things as wisely as possible or to make the best use of our land, we do have to have someone to go out there and look and see what is the best way to proceed.
So are we looking at like hiring a full-time master
Oh, no,
planner?
no.
Or We're looking at.
No, this would be a contracted service.
Just contract a service to give us an estimate on what it will cost to develop and
Yes.
everything we need to.
Yeah, so it would require some input from this board, regardless of what types of uses, what density, what type of architectural landscaping, if anything, that you may want in there to actually, for the physical development of that property and what type of business uses and other uses you wish to see, or perhaps don't, want to make sure that you don't see out there. Firm for this is something I've already discussed with Lisa Cherry, and she had started calling, at my request, architect and engineering firms, because they can come in and do that type of plan, but you have to give them some direction first to bring back something responsive. And the architect part, they will lay out the design and the plan. And what the engineer is going to do is like, you have so many linear feet of road in this plan, you have so many linear feet of water line, can cost out what this plan would be. Things such as if you don't want businesses to have their own individual on-site stormwater retention, how would you design that? Probably different areas to where you could channel water to a regional, basin, a shared basin. Things that would give you, allow you to maximize that property with businesses as opposed to things such as water retention basins and on-site wastewater disposal systems. You want businesses on there, not infrastructure. If we can try to get those more centralized, we can maximize our use and profitability of that property. And that's what the engineer can help us, and the architect can help us lay that type of situation out.
Are they gonna wanna know, you named quite a few things that they're gonna wanna know. and,
Yes.
Are they gonna wanna know, get down to what covenants we desire at that point?
They'll probably just, want, we're not going to get down to the specifics. It's probably going to be more of the conceptual, and I'm not envisioning a lot of, landscaping and architectural design standards, but, I'll use the credit union out there. The credit union, it has, architectural, nice landscaping, good-looking development begets and attracts other good-looking development. And we, want to start this off and to have this to be a place that is attractive for businesses to want to locate.
They can come in and give us kind of a picture of what we want to see.
Yeah. Well, they need to get a little guidance from you. 'cause
Yeah,
they,
of course, of
And with
course.
that, then they'll take that and they'll try to come up with it. You'll present it. It'll end up being modified, hey, that's a little bit too much or not quite enough with that, and get it to something. And that's not something that's, chiseled in stone, but it's a plan.
It's a start.
And, so that every time a business approaches the county, it's not, it's just a hodgepodge of what we're doing, that we have something planned out.
Then we can present it to the citizens, our plan. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that we make it this, it has to be, we want the attractive, right sort of things there. And certainly, it's conception of what we want it to be and utilization of the land is the most productive way.
So we've already started making phone calls on exactly what we're talking about.
That's what I'd ask Ms. Cherry to do, just to try to get an idea, a site of this size for this type of plan development, what would be their estimated cost for something like that? So I could bring that information back to you to see if you then, because if it's under a certain dollar amount, we, don't have to, put it out to bid. We can just select the firm, and I feel confident that this is gonna fall, below the threshold, that we can just look at the cost, look at the qualifications of the firm, and select the firm and move ahead.
So what's on the floor? Always go back to what's on the floor.
Well, I love timelines. Sometimes you can't hit them.
Okay.
You come back and communicate that we didn't get there, but I like to know when I'm gonna be hearing back on something like this. And I'm not suggesting at the time, but Tim might be.
Set a threshold.
Yeah, that can be done in June. What I can do is come back and, have, the list of different, companies that we contacted and our recommendations on their qualifications and what the cost was and how long they anticipated it would, because some companies like, you're great. And I was like, yeah, and I can get to you in 2024. Because they are great. It's like, how quickly can you,
that is
begin a
also-
project, that type of thing. So I think we can definitely bring that information back to you at your June meeting, what we find.
Because it's economic development, are we gonna need to do that part in closed session? And then and when we do select somebody, announce it?
No, because you're not, because this is just it's a planning exercise. It's a planning initiative, so this isn't anything that's business specific or proprietary. So no, this would just be an open session discussion.
Very good.
Madam Clerk, did you get that? Okay.
Then you're getting that glazed look.
Okay. All right, thank you for the discussion on those two items. We're just about to the end of the agenda, but we need to, vacancy for Gates County Library Board, action requested? Or you want to, it hasn't expired, has it? I think.
I'm gonna do, reaching out to the library board and seeing if they want to continue,
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
and that'll come back to you next
okay.
month.
All right, thank you. Vacancies for Board of Adjustment?
The people who are up have the ability, can serve another term.
Yes, and they have agreed to.
They have also the.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board? The motion for reappointment of Elizabeth Hedrick and Gilbert Jenkins to serve another one-year term as alternates. Okay. So what's
I so move, yeah, the reappointment. Oh, no, I'll second Commissioner Pratt.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Owens and a second.
Oh, it was Owens.
Did you have anything you want to say?
Madam Chair, to help us along, I make a motion that we approve the new one-year terms of the two people who are currently on the board.
It's Board of Adjustments, though, it's not one-year term, I don't think.
I think
Because they're serving as alternates.
Oh, okay, they're serving as alternates.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay.
excuse me.
Okay, gotcha.
Gotcha.
so I got your second down there?
We got-
Yeah, second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Then we had a resolution celebrating Kathleen Wiggins' 100th birthday.
And Commissioner Owens is going to read the resolution.
Okay, Board. It's my honor to read this resolution celebrating Kathleen Wiggins' 100th birthday. Whereas Kathleen Matthias Wiggins was born on April 19, 1922, and whereas Kathleen Wiggins will be celebrating her 100th birthday on April 19, 2022, and whereas Kathleen Wiggins is a native of Gates County and grew up in the Sandy Cross community. She is a homemaker, farmer's wife, mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. And whereas Kathleen Wiggins has lived a life of service for her county and her community, Miss Wiggins is a faithful member of Sandy Cross Baptist Church in Hobbsville, North Carolina. Kathleen also has participated in numerous groups and organizations. And whereas over the course of 100 years, she has never lost her love for making others smile. And whereas the Gates County Board of Commissioners are thrilled to know Kathleen Wiggins will be celebrating her 100th birthday and honored to join her family and friends in congratulating her on this special day. And whereas Kathleen Wiggins reflects upon a century of memories and accomplishments, we hope she is filled with joy and optimism. And whereas the Gates County Board of Commissioners hopes Kathleen Wiggins is blessed with good health and happiness throughout her 100th year and beyond. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the Gates County Board of Commissioners wishes to extend to Kathleen Wiggins a very happy 100th birthday. Be it further resolved that this resolution adopted this 20th day of April 2022 shall be entered into the minutes of the Gates County Board of Commissioners and a copy presented to Kathleen Wiggins at her birthday celebration.
All right. I need a motion on the floor to approve this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly motioned and second. All in favor?
Aye.
So be it. And happy birthday, Miss Wiggins, 100th birthday. What a pleasure, what a joy.
You know, we are very fortunate in Gates County. We've had several.
Several.
I know. I had 5 so far since I've been in the last few years.
The last item is I, Northeastern. Yes, Miss Commissioner Hoffler.
Okay, those of you who have, I think we have mentioned this before, the Northeast Workforce Development Consortium helps businesses train workers, and they also have help people find jobs. They have job fairs. They help them learn interviewing skills, help them write resumes. It is a very important asset to our region. As businesses have come in, they will tailor-made a program, training program for that business. There is a move by the state of North Carolina. They want to do away with the Workforce Development Consortium, and this is part of the Albemarle Commission, and we think it would be detrimental to our region, particularly. It would lump us in, the region would stretch all the way to Pitt County that we would be in. There would not be a Northeastern Workforce Development Consortium. They are going to do, I forgot exactly what they call it now, something, but we think it would be very detrimental. And you heard about Kathy Davison talking about getting training for people to go into work about this, the broadband. And see, that's perfect fit for a workforce development consortium to establish classes like that and to prepare the workforce for jobs that will be coming into our area. And without that, we don't have that. So we would like for our board to support keeping the Northeast and Norfolk Workforce Development Consortium and board be a vital part of our region still.
I have a real live example of what you're talking about. When Union Camp closed. And a lot of Gates County fellows and ladies lost their employment. The Northeast Workforce Development set up a program and trained some of our citizens to work at the aviation. These guys and ladies had no connection to aviation whatsoever. But they trained some of those people, and they went over there and found a job after going through this training. So that's a real live situation. That doesn't occur all the time, but it did help a few. It did help a few, and I'm not saying that's all they did, but that's one. I know of, I think, 2 or 3 close friends that it benefited.
And I think Vernon Brinkley, when he went into small engine repair, he had workers trained by workforce. So, I mean, it can be small businesses, 2 or 3 workers, or it could be large, like they went to the Coast Guard base because they had helicopters and everything. Or some, it doesn't matter the size of the business, that they will work with them. So I would hope that the board would support their efforts to try to keep this a vital part of our region to help us. We have a lot of people here, but some of them don't have the job skills they need in a 21st century economy. And this is a way that they can get it.
And in addition, Madam Chairman, if I may, and just so our citizens hear this, is that there is a push to put this in Pitt County, which is Greenville, by the state. And therefore, we would lose in eastern North Carolina and certainly in Gates County that advantageous of having workforce development here and looking after our people. So I'm thoroughly
And that's an excellent point, because if Pitt gets it, everything's going to be involved around Pitt.
Well,
The pie will be cut different.
Yeah.
The pie will be cut a lot differently.
As chair of the Board of Gates County's Board of Commissioners, I received a letter from the governor about this same thing, and I think I passed it on to all of you. It came in on April the 8th, and they're talking like it's a done deal. But I received it from the governor's office. All the chairs of all the counties received this, because it's statewide. It's just not in Northeast North Carolina. They're trying to realign all the workforce development boards in the state. And we would be part of Pitt County in Greenville instead of locally at Albemarle Commission. So that's why this is important. I have to fill some forms out with our input and send it to the Department of Commerce. So you have that. I suggest you read it again before we can support this, but this has to go in to where, I'm not going to read it, but this is what we have to send in as our position as the county, as the governing body. So, and there's a meeting tomorrow night with the Albemarle Commission Board of Delegates, and so Commissioner Hoffler sits on that board. She represents us, and Craddock sits on the Workforce Development Board, right?
Yep, I meet right in front
5
of her.
o'clock, 6 o'clock. So I've got both of you covered.
Yep.
So this is important. Don't let it get, off your radar, because right now we're tier 2. Pitt is tier 1. I don't, the
That's amazing to me.
you can't change it. Someone asked one time, could we challenge it? There's no need. You cannot change that designation. They changed it in 2019. And one of the reasons, main reason we went to tier 2 is because we have so many people who work outside the county and bring that median income home, the salaries home. That's what happened. So many of us have to work, well, I did, had to work outside the county to make, the high salary. Well, I live here. I didn't work here, but I live here. So I'm one of the culprits. I was anyway. And some of y'all around this table do the same thing. So that's the reason, that's one of the reasons we went from tier 1 to tier 2, because of and we're glad people are coming and living here and bringing their salaries home, but the issue is, that's why we're tier 2. We can't fight the tier designation. Not just can't. So please pay attention to this. Watch your newspaper, citizens, of what's going on. But the Board of Commissioners have this packet, and we will be working on it. So do I have a motion to support this?
It is, and may
Go
I
ahead.
also add,
Go
in
ahead.
addition to what you were saying, Madam Chairman, is that we also got sucked up by Hampton Roads. Is that Gates County is considered part of.
Part of Hampton Roads,
Metropolitan?
Metropolitan.
And not agriculture.
So we'll change it. We're still rural-minded, but when it comes to funding and designations, we're not. Even though we're losing population, we went from 11,000, almost 12,000, down to 10,000, some are, numbers, we're not. So we have rural minds, and we think like that. We got to start thinking about the bigger picture. Where we sit, we're landlocked. Hampton Roads has creeped in, and now here comes Pitt. So we got to fight them off. So do I have a approval for the support letter that Commissioner Hoffa has with her?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second, all approved? Aye. Ayes have it. Mr. County Attorney,
Yes, ma'am.
you brought me the letter of intent for Roanoke Connect. Do we need to approve that in open session?
Probably as procedurally, probably so.
Okay. I have before me, and we talked about it in the meeting on Monday, the agreement with Roanoke, or Roanoke Connect, that's the proper name for it. It's a letter of intent, first, it's talking about the grant, everything that Ms. Davidson talked about is in this agreement. I'm watching the attorney to make sure I don't misspeak, but it was a template for anyone who applied for that grant from whatever broadband provider was. All of them said the same thing. All we had to do was insert our choice in this letter of intent. It was vetted by the county attorney, and he brought me copies tonight to sign so that we can get this grant off on time to Roanoke Connect. So, and you've seen it. All of you had a copy. I gave you a copy. So you see, I know you lost it. Like children in school, you didn't see it. But anyway, I need a motion to approve this letter of intent, which you've seen and talked about and discussed. I just need to do it in open session.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we will sign this grant letter of intent for Roanoke Connect. The grant is due May 4th, 2022 at 11:59 p.m. So that's why I'm doing it, because we won't meet again as a body until our meeting in May, okay? All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Put this in my stack. Now we're down to Commissioner and County Manager comments. Commissioner Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. First of all, I'd like to say that as the decisions we make here and the things that we hear, we rely on what you tell us. And that is what our decision is based on. We also read, we study the other merchandise, but we talk to you about it, and we each one of us discuss it and bring it forward. So when there are items of disparity, if you will, we also are in the same position. We love one another, but we love each other here, and our discussions are sometimes heated, and sometimes we don't reach the same thing, but in the end, we have to have a decision. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being a part of this.
Commissioner Hoffa.
Okay, I think tonight a lot of good things, very positive things occurred with Trillium and the report of Land Baker. Certainly it's important. I thought the new initiative that they are taking, the United Way, I appreciate their including Gates County, and certainly we know that we have people who could use assistance from time to time for no fault of their own. That sometimes people do fall through the cracks. I'm very excited about Roanoke Connect. It's exciting to have a timeline and that they're going to be here and the speed at which we are made available. Because those of you who have a lot of children that were in school and had 2 or 3 people trying to be online, you find out what the problem was with this slow internet speed that we have. Okay. And I'm only one person in my household, and sometimes the speed it bothers me too. So we've had a lot of positive things with also, I think helping with the COA. Certainly nursing, they have an excellent program there. I think we need to support them as well. And excited about seeing actions being taken, prioritizing our ARP list, getting started on what we're going to do with the community center, and also what we're going to do with the land across the road from the community center. So I think it's a very positive evening for us as a county.
Commissioner Craddock?
All right, they took everything I was going to say, so. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. It's good to see everybody's faces. Like I said, appreciate all the stuff that the people in the county are doing. I think it was last week or the week before was First Responders Week. Just want to send a shout out to first responders. Appreciate everything y'all do. First line of defense. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Owens?
Well, I just want to say something about the culture at Roanoke Electric. They have what I call a caring culture, and they care about people. They don't just provide electricity. They do a lot of things community-wide, and not just, their headquarters is Rich Square. They've got an office over in Hosky, but they reach out to the other counties and areas. So they've got a good culture over there, and I think we're going to benefit from that. So I'm glad that we made that decision to go with them. And Gates County baseball team is hosting the Easter baseball tournament. I went last night, and we've got a good team, and they had a lot of strong competition out there last night, and tonight wraps it up. I think the championship game either started at, I think it started at 7 tonight, so I'm anxious to see who's going to win that game. But I think it's good. We have good facility out there, and I will tell you that there were some guys standing around behind the fence that were talking about making some more improvements out there. Things like concession stands and things like seating and things like that. But we have the most beautiful baseball field anywhere around. So real proud of our Gates County baseball team.
County Manager Wilson?
Yeah, I'm glad to announce to the board that I have hired a new utility department director. He is fully certified in both water and wastewater and has many years of experience. He will be starting work at the beginning of next month. And we have received some applications for some of the other vacant positions in that department, and that'll be one of the first things that he does. So hopefully we're going to get that department back up to full staffing here before long. So that was very tough. We're very fortunate to find somebody with his qualifications and experience, and he'll be brought in and introduced to the board when he gets on board. Also, I'd like to announce that earlier this year, did put the county's medical insurance shopped at the Pierce Group that we use for that to take a look at that, not just price, but availability, providers and so forth. I was very pleased with what they found. We were looking at a 7% increase with our current provider when it was shopped out. That went down. That was a little over $40-some thousand. And the most responsive company that came back was Blue Cross Blue Shield. They had the best price, even at the zero increase of our current provider. It was $48,000 less, so that's a swing of almost 90 grand that we saved by shopping it out. The premiums will be slightly lower for the employees. As far as participating facilities and providers, it's much greater, and out-of-pocket cost and a number of the other things is also much better coverage. So I'm very glad to announce that change in the insurance coming out.
Okay.
That's unusual.
And
Yeah, very unusual.
And the last item I had, I know the board had instructed County Planner Lisa Cherry to poll or talk to the members of the Planning Board and Board of Adjustments about their meeting date and their meeting time. That has been done at both of these bodies at their recent meetings, and both bodies, it was the majority opinion and vote to leave their meeting date and time as they are and to make no changes to the ordinance.
Oh. Okay. Moving right along.
All right,
Thank you to the commissioners and to the county manager. My updates. First, I want to read a thank you note. It says, "Thank you so much for the beautiful dish garden. Elmo would have been as touched by the kindness and support shown by him, his old friends and colleagues. We sincerely appreciate your thoughtfulness." And this is from the Benton family. We sent a flower to the family. And I want to announce that I received a letter in March, late March. It's for our board clerk to the board, and assistant to the county manager. Dear Ms. Chestnut, as chair of the North Carolina Association of County Clerks Certification Committee, it is my pleasure to notify you that your application for the North Carolina Certified County Clerk designation has been approved and is valid for 3 years. Included with this letter is your original frame certificate and desk plate. So Ms. Chestnut is now certified. And for my short updates, the Unity Monument, we had a committee of citizens that served on the Unity Monument Committee. We have tentatively set the date for the unveiling of that monument for Saturday, May 21st, 2022 at 10 a.m. here in the historic courthouse. The monument will be set, the footing will be poured, I think it's April 27th, across the street. They're going to pour that foundation, then they're going to set it, and we're setting the program for May 21st, 2022 at 10 o'clock here at the historic courthouse, and then we'll cross over for the unveiling. The committee is working on the program. They worked on the monument issue, so I felt that they should work on the program. So they've been meeting. I've met with them once. I think you're going to meet with them again. Ms. Hoffman and I were the co-chairs of the resolution or of the Confederate monument, but we left them alone. We're leaving them alone now. They sent me something this afternoon.
I would like to say the gentlemen on this committee gave us that job.
They did.
They
They
did.
didn't want to touch it, so they gave it
They
to us.
didn't want to touch it.
So you can't have any credit for it.
I made that point.
But anyway, the committee members, in case you want to know, reminder is Lee Brooks, Chair, Deborah Lee, Vice Chair, Betty Hora, Joyce Lassiter, Guy Harley, Malcolm Sears Jr., and Robert Hollowell. They're still intact. They're the ones that's working on the program. We will receive that program. I've already made some edits, and we will share that as we get closer to the event. We have a speaker for about 10-15 minutes. Reverend Linwood Boone has agreed to be the speaker for that day, and others are on the program. So we're moving forward with that. So you'll see something in the newspaper very shortly about that. The other update is the opiate settlement. We received notice that Gates County will receive $512,428 over 18 years. All the settlements are spread out over 18 years. But our first installment for spring 2022 will be $19,687. In the summer, it should be approximately $43,296. So we have to get ourselves together with the county attorney, the county manager, and the finance director to make sure we meet all the criteria. You can go to the website and see how the resources must be spent, can be spent. They also have best practices that show us what other counties have planned to do with their portion. So this is an opportunity for us to attack the opiate issues in this county, the overdosing. You heard Commissioner Freeman talking about that, and you've heard United Way talking about that. So, and Trillion talking about that. So we need to spend this money judiciously and make sure that we have an awareness program before they get to that point. I want to personally thank our county attorney. I turned that over to him and told him to get the paperwork in. Our county manager, when he saw it, he was doing, he looked at it, but we had him fully engaged in other things. But that was okay, because they have a county attorney sitting down there, and he just filled out the paperwork like it's supposed to go, and we went in, we stayed on top of it. made sure we didn't miss any deadlines or anything. So this is the result. All 100 counties in the state could apply. They had to have an MOA, MOU, and all this other stuff. Had a lot of paperwork. We got it in, so that's the results of that. So we're thankful that the county's getting more funding in. I want to clarify something to the citizens. The Urgent Repair Grant Program is a grant that we're still waiting on. Albemarle Commission helped us write that grant. And as late as this morning, I talked to Michael Irving, because he's been checking every week, and they're still not, awarded that grant. That is not the same as our local housing grant that we have with the Housing Committee. So let's not get confused. We have not gotten, people kept talking about that $12,000. We haven't gotten it yet. So we're still waiting. We've got our fingers crossed and pray that we get that money so we can have some more money in this county. And we're going to continue to bring more funding to this county as we can and identify those grants. I just want to clarify that. And with that, is there anything else coming from this body?
I would just say, on Saturday morning here in Gatesville, you're going to have a lot of bike riders. They're going through Clemens, Chowan, Gates, and back to Elizabeth City. I can't remember it. Do you remember?
Back to Edenton.
Anything back to Edenton. So we'll be a lot of bikes on the road. So be observant and give them plenty of passing room.
We also have food distribution, I think, this Saturday as well.
Jim's is this
Jim's is distributing food this Saturday.
I'd like to mention this. A lot of times in our packets, folks, we have these flyers, and a lot of times, it's somebody trying to solicit us, that kind of thing. But if you'll look at this flyer, and I don't want to read it or talk more about it or anything, but I circled some things on it. There's some good information. That's what I want us to glean from it. I circled economic development. I circled roadway construction. And if you look on the back, it will tell you that it'll give you a list of grants that were applied for and awarded, okay? And, so this will help us understand, hey, where we can look at this and say, water infrastructure improvements is in here. And it says 1.3 million was awarded. What it's really talking about is this company on the front here, Merchant Associates. They're just touting what they have done, but what I gleaned from it is this tells us what was awarded out of ARP funds, so it gives us an outline of what's available and what's capable of us applying for at the same time. So this is one of those that luckily I didn't just throw away because somebody soliciting us, but it was helpful information in there. So Alfie, if you'll hold on to that, I'm gonna hold on to mine.
Oh, I've got it.
When we talk about economic development and where to apply for money, this will help us.
I've got it. Anything that's got a grant in it, I'm on it.
I've got one more motion I'd like to make.
Okay.
You got your gavel ready?
I'm ready.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. We adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.